Hello, hello, Sarah of SEK Handmade here, and today I'm going to share with you how to work the crossed double crochet. Let's go. All right, this is the crossed double crochet. I love this stitch so much. Do you see how much of my blue table is showing through those stitches? It is a great open stitch that provides a really nice texture, and it's not that hard to do. I know you're going to love it. For the crossed double crochet, you're going to work in stitch multiples of 2 plus your turning chains. So depending on if you're a chain 2 or a chain 3 for your double crochets, that will depend on how many chains you choose to do. Now, if you are aiming for a specific number of crossed stitches, you need to add an additional 2 because you need to have an anchor stitch on each side. So a double crochet on one end and a double crochet on the other end, and then your crossed stitches in the middle. So 2 of your multiple of 2 are going to be those anchor stitches. So since I'm just working a little tester swatch here, not for any sort of specific pattern, I'm going to say that I would like 3 X's. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then I'm going to add 2 for my anchor stitches, which is 8. And then I'm going to add 2 more because I am a chain toer for my double crochets, and so I'm going to end up with 10 chains. I do want to say that sometimes I find it much easier to work a row of single crochets and then work your new stitch that you're learning back into that row of single crochets. So if you wanted your 3 crossed stitches, your anchor stitches, but you wanted to work a row of single crochets first, what you're going to do is you're going to do your 3 times 2, which is 6, plus your 2 anchor stitches, which is 8, plus 1 stitch or 1 chain for your turning chain. So you would have 9 chains instead of 10. And actually, let's go ahead and do that because I just think it'll be easier. So I'm going to back out one of my chains, and then I'm just going to work a row of single crochets into the back bump of my chain here. I find that working into your starting chain can sometimes be a little challenging, so trying to do that and learn a new stitch seems unnecessarily finicky. So I have my 8 single crochets here, and I'm ready to start my crossed double crochets. So the very first thing I'm going to do is chain 2. 1, 2. And in this situation, I'm going to count that as a double crochet. I find that that looks better than working your chains and then working a double crochet into the same stitch. You can see how bulky that is, and once we get our more open stitch pattern going here, you're going to see that that just doesn't match very well. So no double crochet in that first stitch, but since our chains are counting as a double crochet, we're going to act as if that stitch has already been worked. So I know it's a little confusing, but imagine that that stitch has already been worked. To start our crossed double crochet, we're going to skip the next stitch and work into the next one. So I'm going to yarn over, insert into what is now my third stitch from the beginning, yarn over, insert my hook, and just work a double crochet as you always would. Now, to cross my stitches, I'm going to come back and I'm going to work into the skipped stitch from front to back. But what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, and then we're going to fold that whole thing forward, and we're going to find that stitch that was skipped and insert our hook from front to back. Make sure you don't lose your yarn over there. So the stitch we already worked is folded down, and we're still going from front to back. And then we yarn over, pull up a loop, and we complete our double crochet. And so that's 1 crossed double crochet. Then we're going to skip a stitch, work into the next stitch, and work a double crochet. Then we're going to yarn over, fold the whole thing forward, find our stitch that we skipped, insert our hook from front to back, pull up a loop, and complete our double crochet. And now I have room for one last one, and then I'm going to show you what to do in this end stitch here, and then don't go away because I have a little tip to make all of this look way more uniform as well. All right, I have my 3 crossed double crochets here, and then I need my anchor stitch in my very last stitch here. So I'm just going to work a regular double crochet in that very last stitch. Now, I also find that the top of these stitches can be a little wonky to work right back into again. So if you're practicing, I would recommend just go ahead and work a row of single crochets to get you back to the beginning and have another really solid foundation to work into. If you feel like you've mastered this stitch, you can absolutely just work cross double crochets in a pattern over the top of each other. That is totally fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work a row of single crochets, and then I'm going to give you a special tip to make this edge look even more uniform with these crossed double crochets and our last stitch here at the end. Now, I've worked my single crochets back across and I'm to my end here. Since we have treated this chain as a double crochet, we need to go ahead and work in that chain as well. Otherwise, we are going to end up losing a stitch every time we work this pattern. So I'm going to just insert my hook into that chain and work one last single crochet. So now I have kept my number of stitches even across there. All right, so now if we look at the edges of our work here, to me, it's pretty evident which side we worked our double crochet into and which side our chain was worked. I think this is just a little more wimpy. It's not quite as full as the side that where we worked our double crochet, but I have a solution to that, so let's give it a try. The solution to get our edges looking really uniform is a modified double crochet. To complete that, you're going to start by pulling up a loop just a little bit higher than you would normally work your double crochet. And yes, this takes a little practice. If you want a full tutorial on this, I'll link it below. Then you're going to wrap your hook around your yarn, insert it into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you can see that that modified chain is just a little more uniform to our double crochet at the end than our just chain 2 or 3 was. So then you're ready to go ahead and just dive back in with your cross double crochets. The other thing is it uses this first stitch, which also makes it look a little more uniform. You're going to see there's not quite as big of a gap here, and you have a stitch here, so you're just going to skip one, work into the next with a double crochet, then fold the whole thing down, find your next or your skipped stitch, insert your hook into there, and complete your cross double crochet. So you're really using every single stitch. All right, so I just finished my last row and then worked a row of single crochets back into the top so we could really compare. I think the difference is subtle, but I think once you get the hang of the modified chain, you're really going to like it. And I do think that it creates a more uniform look. Right there, that's kind of standing up, whereas this row just right across is really nice and uniform. I do want to encourage you to block any work that you do with this stitch because it really does open the whole thing up and make it look really, really nice. And there you have it. That's how you work the crossed double crochet. It is such a fun stitch that gives such a nice open texture to your projects, makes me think of spring and summer. I hope that you felt like this video helped you grow confidently in your craft. That is always my goal. Thank you so much for watching. I would love it if you would like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and maybe even share it with a friend. That would mean so, so much to me. Thank you again for joining me, and happy crafting!